I'd like to welcome you all and say thank you very much for coming out and joining me here today for this pre-budget consultation. It's great to participate at the Chamber. Last Monday, about this same time, I was presenting to a group of people at the Calgary Chamber. And then later in the week, on Friday of last week, I was up in Fort McMurray doing the same thing there. And part of what I do when I go around is I kind of have an open and frank discussion with people, starting with the chambers, and then following that up with groups in the not-for-profit and cultural and helping sector community. So kind of doing double duty, two different kinds of meetings on the same day, and there is some qualitative and quantitative differences of the feedback, and we're trying to sift through all of that as we go along. I'd like to bring greetings from Premier Notley and the Government of Alberta. I feel incredibly fortunate to have the opportunity to tour around this province and to talk to folks like you about the upcoming budget and the priorities of our government. As Premier Notley has said time and again, our priority is to implement the platform we presented to Albertans during the election. It's only been 3 months, but we've already made some significant progress on our commitments. As you know, we'll be introducing our first budget by the end of October. Our discussion today will help shape that budget and our strategy for growing Alberta's economy. I'm also here to listen. I want to hear your ideas and your insights and how we can work together to ensure our sustained prosperity in the years and decades to come. I look forward to bringing what I hear today back to my colleagues, and really, truly, across the province, people are giving their frank input, and I look forward to reporting on all of that. I want to first frame our discussion by giving everyone some context about Alberta's current economic position and the realities. Then I'll provide some information about our actual revenues and expenses from 2014-15, and then I'll close the presentation with some information about the important choices facing us as we plan Budget 2015 and Budget 2016. First, let's get a sense of how Alberta fit into the global context. You only have to read the headlines to see that there is uncertainty in the global marketplace. The financial crisis in the Eurozone and the Chinese economic slowdown are having a ripple effect all over the world. And they're being felt here at home too. Perhaps the best word to describe the global marketplace is volatile. However, it's not all bad news. The fundamentals in this province are and remain strong. We have a young and educated workforce. We have world-class infrastructure. And we have the most competitive tax environment in Canada, and we are, by a large margin, the national leader when it comes to productivity. August is a little bit of a challenge for productivity, with so many people being away, but we are the leader in productivity. Resource-producing provinces face the weakest growth prospects, with a contraction in the real GDP expected for the remainder of 2015. Manufacturing-intensive provinces like Ontario and Quebec are expected to benefit from a weaker Canadian dollar and the strengthening U.S. economy. Global economic uncertainty remains elevated, especially in Europe and China. A slowdown in global economic activity is weighing on commodity prices, and we are experiencing the results of that downward pressure here today. When considering Alberta's position, it's important to look at the context. Where do we fit in the Canadian landscape? When compared to our Canadian counterparts, Alberta is the envy of the Federation. We are in a very strong net asset position. On a per capita basis, after all debts and assets are considered, every Albertan has a positive equity stake of over $13,000 in their government. Every Ontarian, by contrast, has a negative equity stake of over $13,000 in their government. Put another way, when you add up all the public assets and liabilities in our province, we are in a net asset position of over $55 billion. British Columbia is in a net asset position of just $3.2 billion. Ontario, the economic leader for much of Canadian history, is now facing a net debt approaching $190 billion. Simply put, we're in a fortunate position. Your government is committed to preserving and enhancing Alberta's economic position by continuing to invest in the fundamentals: a trained and educated workforce, strong infrastructure, and a diversified economy. We've been in government for just over 3 months now. We've already taken some steps to secure a bright economic future for Alberta. I'm proud of our government's early moves. We have reintroduced a fair graduated income tax system by asking high-income earners to contribute a little more. We're ensuring we remain a competitive business environment by keeping fees and taxes low while stabilizing our revenues. We're in the process of reviewing our capital infrastructure plan to ensure that the projects we have planned to will put people to work, drive long-term growth, and are good for all Albertans. Lastly, we're reviewing our royalty structure and climate change strategy to ensure all Albertans share in the benefits without compromising our environment in the process. These are just a few of the steps we've taken in the early days of our government. As I've begun working on the budget with my colleagues, there are certain goals that I've asked them to keep in mind. One is remaining a competitive place to do business is key. As the Premier has made clear, expanding our access to foreign and domestic markets for our goods and services is a key priority of this government. This budget will also see a commitment to strong and efficient public services and will move to diversify Alberta's economy by building on our strengths. As Janet has talked about, we're not going to see a balanced budget this fall. Your government is working towards balancing in the year 2018-19. Let's talk in greater detail about some of the economic realities we're dealing with today. We have benefited from high oil prices in good times, but we're seeing the results of low oil prices right now. The unpredictable cycle of commodity prices is not a smart gamble for government, and that's why we're looking to stabilize revenues and find efficiencies in our program spending. The drop in oil prices leaves a rather substantial hole in our provincial budget. We also have to face the facts. Funding for key services like healthcare and education have not kept pace with the growth of our population. Everyone recognizes the significant role oil plays in our economy, and it's been on a wild ride in the past year. I won't predict where oil prices are going, nor should I, but I can tell you that our government will ensure that Alberta remains a strong place for new investment while protecting the services that Albertans count on and delivering them as efficiently as possible. Of course, low oil prices are not just a concern for Alberta, but they're a concern for the rest of Canada. A full quarter of Canada's nominal GDP is related to mining, quarrying, and oil and gas extraction. Here at home, the energy sector directly accounts for about 2/3 of Alberta's business investment. Fortunately, over the past decade, Alberta's strong economic growth has not been confined to certain industries. We've seen broad-based gains across all sectors that far exceed the national average. For example, Alberta is one of the few provinces that have seen its manufacturing sector expand. By building on our strengths like that, exports reached record highs. As the market tightens in light of the current global economic climate, our government is looking for ways to increase investment and drive competitiveness. In the short term, it is only through innovation and diversification in our core areas of strength, which are financing, manufacturing, oil and gas, and agricultural industries, that Alberta can leverage its expertise and drive economic growth. Now that I've touched on the economic state of the province, let's take a look at our financial state. Last year, the government of Alberta collected roughly $49 billion in revenue. Of that, personal and corporate income tax made up 35%. Federal transfers accounted for 13% of our revenue, while non-renewable resource revenue made up 18%, or roughly 1/5 of our total revenue. This year, we're expecting a drop across the board, putting a strain on government programs. You will note that we've experienced a positive trend in both personal and corporate income tax since 2000. In June, we made modest changes to personal and corporate income taxes. These increases will deliver $1 billion of stable revenue to support the programs and services Alberta families need going forward. In addition, we reduced fees for Albertans' families, the most significant of which was the elimination of the health care levy. For many years, we've relied significantly on volatile oil prices for program spending. It's not been a smart way to plan, and our government is making changes to stabilize our revenues and to live within our means. This chart is a good indicator of why we can't rely so heavily on non-renewable resource revenues. Our population growth, as you know, has increased by 500,000 people in the last 5 years. While we lead the country in population growth, the previous government failed to invest in services and infrastructure that provide the foundation for our economy. Even with the downturn in oil prices, Alberta's population growth in the first quarter of 2015 was roughly 3 times the national average, which has continued to put pressure on our expenses. Schools are overcrowded and hospitals are often stretched to the limit. Our government is committed to ensuring that Albertans have access to strong learning environments, top quality health care, and world-class infrastructure. A young, strong, educated workforce, high quality infrastructure, and a strong tax advantage are all key elements of what we see as the Alberta advantage. This is an advantage we plan to grow in the years to come. Tough times mean that we need to rely on our innovative and entrepreneurial spirit to control costs, become more efficient, and deliver high-quality services to all Albertans. I've spoken a lot about diversification throughout this presentation. You already know that we've sought out the support and help of former Bank of Canada Governor David Dodge for a plan on how to best use our infrastructure dollars. We're also looking at how we stimulate small and medium-sized businesses by giving them easier access to capital, how we can promote our industries better through proactive trade strategies, and what we can do to inspire growth in emerging industries across this province. These are just a few of the items that we're talking about, that we're thinking about, that I'd welcome your feedback on, and any other ideas for supporting new industries and building up our existing ones. So as we focus our discussion today, I encourage you to think about the following considerations, including all of those up on the screen, as well as these additional ones. How can we balance the needs of a young and growing population in a period of economic uncertainty? How do we lay a stronger foundation for economic diversification and sustained prosperity? And what government investments will help facilitate long-term economic growth? I'm very interested in hearing your unique perspectives today as we talk about Budget 2015 and Budget 2016. Every one of you brings an outlook that can be helpful to this discussion. And as I say, I look forward to hearing your ideas, comments, and proposals. Thank you very much.